Hello, hello, kings and queens and everybody in between. Ashley Michelle here with another episode for you. I hope we are all doing amazing. Welcome back to the Goddess Complex. If you're new here, welcome home. I have yet another guest for you. We are almost 6 months into 2024. Where has the time gone? And you all have been giving such great feedback on the people I've been bringing onto the Goddess Complex. And so I have somebody really special. And you guys are probably going to be like, okay, Ashley, what's going on? How does this fit? But, just buckle your seatbelt because we're going to make it make sense. You all know I've been on this crazy weight loss journey that hasn't really stopped. And so many questions have been flooding on how I do it and what's going on and what's your secret. And I've been giving you guys little morsels here and there. And one of the big things that has kept me honest with my weight loss journey is looking at people who are where I am going. And I've told you this about your businesses as well, as you're building your brands, as you're building your online identity, right? Follow the people that are where you are going. And so this lovely woman is an absolute all-star. She's amazing. I have no clue how she juggles it all because I don't know how I juggle it all. And I'm so honored and thrilled to have her on the podcast. And so you all are in for a treat. So Julia, welcome to the Goddess Complex.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so pumped for today. I don't know what's going to happen, what I'm going to say, but whatever happens, happens.
Yes, whatever happens, happens. I love that. And it's a motto that I love to live by. So, Julia, you are a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
People are probably like, what is a bodybuilder doing on your podcast?
We're going to make it make sense.
We'll make it make sense.
And so one thing that I love doing here in the Goddess Complex is breaking down some of these terms and words that we use on the daily, right? That we think we understand, but we don't. So what is your definition of bodybuilding?
To me, bodybuilding is developing like a really personal relationship with mind, body, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you're going through a bodybuilding journey, and me and you were touching on this a little bit before, we actually started recording, and then we were like, we need to just record because all this stuff is so
Right,
good.
right, right.
So the way that I view bodybuilding, it hasn't always been this way, but as become going from amateur to becoming pro, I started realizing what I needed to get out of this sport. And that was
Yeah.
the connection of mind, body, and spirit. Of course, you're going to be doing something that's very challenging physically,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually. One thing that I
Right.
always like to say is like when you're in a bodybuilding prep, all of those shadows that you have, spent so much time like pressing down, they will
Mm-hmm.
come out because you're in a very
Mm-hmm.
heightened state of hunger, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
irritability, um,
Mm-hmm.
fear. There's a lot of those things that can show up in a bodybuilding career. So for me, bodybuilding is learning all of those things about yourself during the process,
Yeah.
not about, winning or having the best physique or, having a revenge body,
Right,
or,
right.
doing it for other external reasons other than for
Yeah.
yourself. You can learn so much about yourself when you are put under pressure, lots of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us go through lives with, we all have challenges. We have daily struggles and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but the majority of people just kind of have regular day-to-day things, nothing that is
Mm-hmm.
testing you, nothing that is challenging you, nothing that is forcing you to grow. And bodybuilding
Yeah.
will force you to grow in all those aspects of your life. So that's what it means to me.
I love that. I love when you said you'll learn so much about yourself when you're put under pressure. Isn't that the motherfucking truth? And you know
Yeah,
what they say, pressure makes diamonds, honey.
exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's so true. And so I hope you all are understanding why I think Julia should be here. And the reason why I feel like you need to be here is really a lot of what you said. From what I've learned about bodybuilding, obviously, it's kind of like this slow incremental phase until you get to show day. And, that lead up to show day is really a deep, deep space. Like you're in the cave, right? I would like some serious self reflection and some serious some deep understanding of why the fuck you're here.
Yeah. Why did I choose to do this?
Yeah. 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 How long have you been competing for?
So my first show was in 2020.
Okay.
Previous to that, I was 3 weeks out from my first show in 2019. And then
Okay.
the new year hit. That's when COVID happened. Everything got shut down.
Yeah.
So I was 3 weeks out from my first show and it got canceled. So
Right.
2020 shows started opening back up. That was when I did my first two shows. And then got my pro card in 2021.
Okay. Okay. And you're prepping for a show now, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what are you doing differently to prepare for this show that you haven't done before?
So I would say one of my biggest um, gaps in becoming what I ultimately want to be. Because each time I go into like a new phase of life, like I try to imagine and act and bring that persona of that next version of me. I start acting like it. I
Hmm.
walk into the room like I'm that thing already. So now in this level of my life,
Hmm.
I've already gotten my pro card. Now I'm, taking on that persona of like, what does it look like to be an Olympian, like to be on the
My
Olympiad
private
stage.
clients, I hope you guys are listening. Because I've said this to them so many times. You step into that CEO version of self.
Exactly. And
That's
that
where
goes
the
for
work is.
everything. Like the things that we're going to
Hmm.
be talking about today, they go into all aspects of your life. And that's why I
Hmm.
love, bringing fitness and self-awareness and personal development together. Because
Hmm.
ultimately, if that one component there isn't there, you are not going to reach your fitness goals. Or you
Exactly.
will. And when you get there, it's going to be not enough. It's not going to be satisfying. And I've definitely
Yeah.
done that too. I've been the leanest I've ever been, still didn't think I looked good, didn't have any self-worth, no confidence. I've been the
Mm.
heaviest I've ever been, felt exactly the same. So
Mm.
I would say the difference between my previous shows and this show is that I'm still learning to be present during the journey. And that's what I'm saying is each time I prep, I get better and
Mm.
better and better at it. But
Yeah.
after taking that year off last year and really, getting everything very, very healthy, not only my body, but physically, mentally, spiritually, there was
Hmm.
a couple gaps that I needed to close off in order to
Hmm.
step into this new Olympian version of myself. And
Right.
that was it was something simple. It was mainly like learning how to maintain a healthy physique that I am happy with and that is comfortable in the off season, so that when I
Right.
start my next prep, I don't have to go balls to the wall, so
Right.
much cardio, such low calories. And this is the first time that I have been able to do that. And I don't think I would have been able to if it wasn't for, the universe saying, hey, you're actually not going to compete this year. Release that and trust
Hmm.
me, it's going to be worth it. This is the first prep that I have started with 100% full confidence and assurance and presence and excitement. Of course, I have those with all of my preps, but this is one of the ones where I'm like, wow, like I feel like this is it. And when I'm
Yeah.
saying like this is it doesn't mean like I'm gonna win all the shows, I'm gonna get all the trophies, all the things are gonna happen.
Right.
But I just feel I'm like, you're ready.
Right.
You're ready. So
Right.
that's the main difference for me.
I love that. And okay, so I want to break this down a little bit for some of the folks who are like, I don't know this world. So sorry, guys, we're going to catch you up in like three
Yeah,
seconds. And so you got your pro card and you're on the road to Olympia. And so,
right.
from my understanding, essentially, bodybuilding works in a series of steps, right? Yeah, so it works in steps. And you want to
Right.
elaborate just a little bit on that for folks who don't
Yeah,
know?
sure. So when you first get it started in bodybuilding, you're considered an amateur. So
Hmm.
in order to reach the pro level as an amateur, you have to qualify for a national show. So once you
Hmm.
go to a national show, you need to place either first or second in order to get a pro card. So some shows it's only first place, some shows it's first and second. So that's kind of how my trajectory went to where my first two shows I qualified for nationals. Then,
Mhm.
took a little off season. The next year came back, started my Road to Pro series. And that's when I now was able to compete in a national show, and I had to get first or
Mhm.
second in order to get my pro card. I got first in that show, then that made me an IFBB Pro. Now I'm
Yeah.
in the IFBB Pro League, which feeds into the Olympia. And the Olympia, the best way that I can describe it, it's the Olympics of bodybuilding. It's the top
Right.
bodybuilders in the entire, in the world coming together and
Okay.
competing against each other.
Okay.
So I'm in the middle phase, and now I'm trying
Yeah.
to like get to the next jump, which is qualifying to the Olympia.
Okay. Okay, cool, cool. So, what sorts of things have you learned about yourself through bodybuilding?
I have learned that I've learned how I respond under pressure,
How do you respond under
whether
pressure?
it's good or bad. One thing about me, at least, and this is something that I've had to work on a lot with
Yeah.
when I'm achieving a goal and I'm going after something, is that sometimes I get so tunnel vision where I don't see
Mhm.
anybody else around. Which
Yeah.
tunnel vision can be great when you're working on a goal, you're trying to start a
Right.
business, it really gets you to,
Right.
do what you're supposed to do. But when you have a partner
Yes.
and
Yes.
you are so focused on your goal that the only
Yes.
thing that you see is the goal, and becoming an IFBB pro, you start to lose the connection with the people around you. And
Boy, can I relate to that. Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
your fitness journey, and this can happen with just a traditional like lifestyle fitness. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding, but
Right.
there's a disconnect that can happen when your partner or your friends or your family don't understand why
Mhm.
this is important to you, why you need
Oh,
to get up
yeah.
cardio, why you need to bring your meals with you.
My mother has legit
Go
told me
out.
to stop losing weight. She's like,
Yeah.
stop losing weight. It's too much. I'm like, you don't understand. She goes, but you're thin enough. And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this for anybody. I'm doing this for me.
Yes.
Like, I totally get that. And my partner too, just, you're at the gym. I don't know about you, but I could spend 3 hours at the gym like it's easy, nothing.
Yeah, because you enjoy being there, and it's like
Yeah.
you enjoy taking that time of self-love,
Hmm.
taking care of your body and being disciplined and routine is a form
Right.
of self-love.
Right.
And when you go, like it's fun to do that. And
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I learned. And granted, like I have the most supportive partner ever. He was a bodybuilder at one point.
Right.
He's not a bodybuilder anymore, so he's 100% supportive of me, but I needed to learn that just because I am focused on this goal doesn't mean that
Hmm.
everything else disappears. I still
Right.
need to have 100%, like attention on my business. I need to make sure that I
Yeah.
am giving love to my partner in the way that he feels loved. And at
Right.
time, like I was saying, each time I've gotten better and better at that. And, there was a point in our relationship when I was a week out from my pro show. And one of the reasons why we broke off our engagement at that time was because like of how distant I would get during my preps. And sometimes
Mm.
my preps can be 6 months, depending on how long I'm
Right.
competing. And that's not fair for
Right.
me because I'm choosing this. He doesn't have to choose that he's losing his partner
Right.
emotionally during it. So that's been something
Right.
that I've been working on a lot and have learned through this journey.
Well, I heard just recently you're engaged again,
We're
girl.
engaged again. So yeah,
Congratulations.
it's definitely possible to,
Yeah.
go apart and come back even stronger and better. And I
Right.
definitely know we've done that.
Right. Right. Oh my God. I absolutely love all of this. So to me, okay, are you familiar with the term shadow work?
Mhm. My
Okay, great.
partner does that.
That's kind of where I wanted to go. So one of the things that attracted me to your world, the world of bodybuilding, well, first of all, your YouTube videos are amazingly entertaining, and we're definitely going to get there. Because I've got so many questions that I know that people want to know about. But one of the things that attracted me to your world is you have this very holistic POV on the world and how you view your place in it that I deeply, deeply appreciate. And in your content, it's so obvious how you do bridge the gap between mind, body, and soul. And you talk a lot about sitting in the mentality of that version of that person that you're becoming. And I'm like, this girl is speaking my language. And I don't know as much on your partner, but I do know he's pretty holistic himself. If I'm not mistaken, a bit more than you, even.
Even more outwardly for me,
Yeah.
I'm still, what I do is that I always like to say that fitness is the gateway drug to like personal development, shadow
I would
work, like way,
agree. I would
way
agree.
deeper
Yeah.
stuff. So it can be a little bit scary for people to go from, an unconscious state and jumping immediately into let's dig deep into your shadows and your
Hell
trauma.
yeah.
So
Hell
what I have
yeah.
found is that like what I do is I bridge the gap from I make it a little stepping stone, and that's what we do in the
Mm,
Know Your Power program, which is my one-on-one coaching. Is that of course we're doing the health, fitness, discipline,
hmm.
motivation, all that stuff, but when they really get into the program, we're diving into your shadows. We're diving into trauma.
Right.
We're diving
Right.
into like the disconnect, your worthiness, self-love, self-confidence, all of those things. And I have found that this formula really works with general population because it's very
Yeah.
scary to go from 0 to 100. Now it's less scary to
100%.
go from like 0 to 50. And then when you get
Right.
there, I'm like, but this is what we're really talking about.
Oh
And
my
they had
God.
no idea.
Yeah, that's so great. Unlike me, I we were talking about me being on the show. I immediately just popped everybody's fucking cherry girl. I'm like, I'm a
Yes.
witch. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Like on 90 Day Fiance, that was our like storyline.
I
I'm a
love that.
mystic, a witch, and healer, and Manuel is learning to adjust. And that is true. That is true. He's way better now, but I knew when he got here he'd be like, it would be one thing to see me, I bring like a crystal in my luggage, but it would be
Yes.
another thing for him to see this crystal on my altar and me like
Yes.
howling at the moon. And
Yes.
so definitely when it came to that, I was just kind of like, it is what it is. And it's been interesting to see the reaction of Gen Pop, if you will,
Mhm.
of me and who I am, and kind of put a face to not just magic, brujeria, spell work, astrology, tarot, but personal development, manifestation techniques. Because, in my personal opinion, it's all the same thing. And that
Yes.
was one thing too, that I love to talk about is like witches manifest too, spiritual workers manifest too, healers manifest too.
Yeah.
It's all the
It's just
same.
different verbiage. Like we're
That's
all
it.
like we're speaking the same language. And that's why when,
100%.
you felt connected to my content and I feel very connected
Mm-hmm.
to you, I'm
Yeah,
picking up what you're putting down because it's the same
exactly.
thing. It's
It's the
just like
same
how you're
thing.
presenting it. And this is just how I've chosen to present it because I'm a spiritual bodybuilder,
I
but
would agree
when people get
100%.
to, come to my content, they're like, wait, we're not just learning about nutrition. I'm like,
No,
no,
no.
no, we're not.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. So okay, partner does shadow work. That's amazing. It's rare to find men in this space.
He's amazing. He's incredible.
Yeah,
So
very rare.
he's my partner in the Know Your Power program. My whole
Oh,
brand
cool.
is like the Know Your Power program. And like currently right now with our one-on-one clients, we're taking the girls through shadow work right now. So,
Okay.
and
Okay,
he's
cool.
going to a retreat this weekend and he's doing that at a retreat. Me and him have the Know Your Power retreats that we do together. We do the shadow work
Hmm.
in the retreat as well. So we implement our two worlds together very seamlessly, and I love it.
What does shadow work look like for a fitness enthusiast?
I think it has a lot to do with it usually has a lot to do with the body and like
Yeah.
the self-worth and the confidence
Yeah.
and the ability to do what you say you're going to do. So one of
Hmm.
the examples that I like to use with the girls to let them understand why it's so important that we focus on this topic is
Hmm.
that when you're on the Stairmaster and you're doing cardio, like what's the
Hmm.
first thing that tells you to get off? It's your mind.
You literally. I have a
Your
love-hate
mind
relationship
says,
with the Stairmaster.
it's hard. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired. This
Mm-hmm.
hurts. Now your
Mm-hmm.
mind is telling your body, oh,
Seize up.
we're,
We're
this
done.
hurts. I can't,
Mm-hmm.
we can't. And you
Yeah.
convince yourself to get off. And then what happens
Mm-hmm.
later? You realize that wasn't really that hard. I
It
just
wasn't that
convinced
deep.
myself that that was so much more difficult than it was, and this
Yeah.
is why a lot of people
Yeah.
are stuck in bad habits and things that aren't serving them because
Mm-hmm.
getting out of it is so much, it's scarier than trying to get out of the state that they don't want to be in is
Mm-hmm.
so scary because it's so
Right.
unknown. It's not their comfort
Right.
zone, all of that stuff. So that always goes back to you, and that can
Mm-hmm.
go way deeper. It could go back to maybe you've
Mm-hmm.
tried it before. I hear a lot of clients say, like, I've tried this before, I've yo-yo diet and things. It's because at a certain point, you start using your past and the stuff that has happened in order to justify why you can't now
As a
change
crutch.
that pattern. I did
I
that
would
a lot,
agree.
and
Yeah.
so a
I did
lot of it
too.
has to do with that.
Mm-hmm. I love that you brought that up because definitely people that have worked with me and people that are in my private containers would definitely tell you that like I give it to you straight. I'm a very direct person. And
Mhm.
that is the one thing that I'm very direct about as well. Like we can only blame our mothers for so fucking long.
Yes.
Like eventually you gotta take the bull
Yeah.
by the horns. And if you want something, whatever it is, and friends, you guys listening, this conversation isn't only just directed towards fitness, this directed towards your brand if you're looking to build your business, if you're looking to finally get the YouTube off the ground, the TikTok off the ground, if you're looking to change jobs, you're looking to have a baby, you're looking to call in love, whatever it is that you think is so far out of reach,
Mhm.
this conversation applies,
Yeah.
you
There's
know?
also like a level of one thing I've noticed with myself and with some of the girls that I work with is that ultimately they come in saying that they want a certain thing. I've done this too. You say that you want a certain thing, and then you
Yeah.
start getting that certain thing. And
Yeah.
then now you don't feel worthy of the thing that you're actually going for, and it's
Yeah. You
happening.
get scared
Then
of
you
it. Yeah.
self-sabotage. We're
Mhm.
so incredibly scared of becoming who we're supposed to be.
We are, aren't we? It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's so
That we'll
crazy.
do whatever we
Yeah.
can to be like, oh, like I'm gonna sabotage,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make it look
Mm-hmm.
different. And
Yeah.
ultimately we're scared and we're fearful.
100%. That was one thing that I learned on this weight loss journey is how I self-sabotage. I've started to learn it very clearly, the ways within which I self-sabotage. And, I know people that are going through difficulties with their relationship with alcohol and alcoholism and things like that. One thing they say in that arena is be sober for today. And I feel like that can be very much so applied to your fitness journey, right? And I have applied that to my own weight loss journey. Like, let's just focus on today. Let's not think about tomorrow. Let's not think about next
Yeah.
week. Let's think about today, especially the days where it's like, I'm low energy. I've got all this work to do. This needs to be done. That needs to be done. I've had a 12-hour filming day, which has happened multiple times.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, grrr. It's like, okay, let's just focus on like today.
Yeah.
And that often gets you through to the next day.
100%. And that's another reason why people don't go after their fitness goals or their business goals or their
Mm-hmm.
their financial goals is because
Mm-hmm.
at they're over here, let's call it like point A, and they're trying to get to point
Mm-hmm.
Z. And instead of
Mm-hmm.
thinking about how can I get from A to B, they're
Right.
looking at these people that have achieved all these things, the physique goals,
Right.
the pro
Right.
card or the
They
the
just want to see a before and after.
Yes, and they're like, that
Yeah.
seems like a lot, so much. How am I ever going to get there? It's so far
Mhm.
away because you're thinking a bajillion steps ahead when right now you just need to
Right.
follow your real plan just for today.
That's it. That's it.
That- That's it.
So true. Oh my God, so true. So speaking of which, you are a bodybuilder and you're in Texas, right?
Yes.
That's been on my list to go visit that state. Yes. I'm so over cold. I'm trying to get my partner right now to like move somewhere warm. I'm just craving an altar by the ocean, but that's a whole
Yeah.
nother story. But so anyways, you have a very successful YouTube channel. you've been in the content creation industry for a while now.
Mhm.
And, you know, one thing that I coach and mentor on, I have a lot of baby witches and mystics inside of my universe and folks that are a bit more advanced and just trying to scale, work on their brand, work on their business, the whole nine. And I think there's a lot that parallels here when it comes to that. So, you know, you have phased into making money off of your content, correct?
Correct.
Oh my God, so many questions. Where do I want to start? I guess what I want to start with is what advice do you have for folks? And I'll say this. I think we parallel a lot because a lot of the content that you create directly correlates with your business and your brand. That's almost separate from the YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's all underneath the same umbrella. And that's the same for me. I create content on spirituality. And then I
Mhm.
also have a business where you can come inside of my world.
Correct.
Um, versus just a normal content creator who's just doing like a brand deal, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a big difference. What are some of the misconceptions that people have around this world?
About being an influencer, content creator.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
Is
spiritual community, they don't really like the word influencer, but that's really what it is. I know you guys don't like the word friends, but you
Mhm.
really are like, it's spiritual content creation.
Yeah.
It's spiritual influence. Like that's what it is, guys.
Yes, and I think the word influencers just got a bad rep because no one's
Hmm.
really influencing anymore.
Right.
It's just showing, what I got, what I have, what I'm doing,
Yeah,
which is a part of being an influencer. You people go to you to see like, what gym products or what makeup, we all follow things like
definitely.
that. But
You
another
got
part
me
of
on
it
Squeeze
that
Me Skinny Girl.
yeah, the another part of
Yeah.
it's that's missing is the influence. Like, how are you going to influence your community for the better? So that's how I
Hmm.
like to think of it.
Yeah.
It's not
Great
an
point.
influencer, but we're influencing them some way. So the people that are listening, just thinking about that, how are you influencing your community so that they can grow, they can be better, they come to your page, they feel happy,
Right.
they feel
Yes.
loved and they cared for. That's what's
And
important.
safe.
That's what brings incredible people into your space. So
Right.
I would say that the common misconception with like being a content creator is that it's not a real job.
Yeah, I
I
would agree.
understand. I understand that it is a very I'm very blessed to do what I do.
Hmm.
100%. Not a lot of people can say they can work from home, make their own schedule, pick up a
Right.
camera and do all
Right.
of those things. And I understand that I am very privileged and feel a lot of gratitude that I'm able to do that. But just like anything else, like especially when I'm teaching people on how to grow their business and social media, you have to treat it like it's any other job. And I didn't do that for a very long time. I was just like, I'm just going to do everything willy nilly because I can work from home. I'll
Hmm.
do whatever I can. But I have schedules, I have content planners, I have reminders for when I'm going to post. I go in and have my assistant find trending sounds. Like there's a lot of like niche little things.
Hmm.
I make sure my assistant
Hmm.
goes into my YouTube channel and fully does my
Hmm.
SEO so that we're showing up on
Hmm.
people's pages. There's a lot of stuff that you need to do behind the scenes, and you have to create a schedule just like any other job to keep you focused and on track because
Hmm.
your job is to be a content creator and an influencer. So
Right.
you need to treat it like a job, not just something fun that
Yes.
you do. Granted, I love what I do and it is fun. But
Hmm.
also, there are some days where I'm like, oh, I have to do a YouTube video, but I'm feeling like crap, you know?
Yeah.
But it's my
Yeah.
job. I've committed to showing up because it's my job. If I am just like,
Hmm.
I'm not feeling it today, I can't just call my boss when I like used to work at a salon. I don't feel like doing hair today. She's like, come
Right.
in. What are you talking about?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's I would say one of the main things is that like you have to still treat it like it's a job, still
Hmm.
schedule, like content plan, troubleshoot, all of those things. You still
Hmm.
got to do those.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up because I fully agree with you. And it took me a while to recognize that myself when I was starting out, that like, so I went to school for a long time, one of those serial degree people. So Like I started with an associate's and like over the course of like 6, 7 years got a master's
Mm,
and bartended and served throughout the whole time. So I always kind of had structure in that
yes.
way. And so when I transitioned into working for myself, there was no structure.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not feeling it today. And I
Yeah.
slowly started recognizing, oh no, girl, like you're never going to feel it. Like you gotta get in the groove. And so I love coaching on that and talking about that. I think a huge misconception too is that like you come out of the gate making money. I don't know about you, but for me, there's a lot of working for free, even though I don't really believe that because no matter what you're doing in the sphere, nurturing your audience, like the payoff is the fact that you're growing a bigger audience, you're getting more reach. You know what I mean? But seeing actual coin, that takes a while in this arena.
It does. It really does.
Mhm.
Especially if you like don't know how, you
Right.
see all these influencers and stuff, and
Hmm.
um, they have a ton of followers, but they make no
Yeah.
money.
No money. They can't monetize their audience for shit. Exactly.
Yes, and that's where the disconnect with there's this person, this face that I see online, and with actually knowing them as a person, that's where that
Hmm.
disconnect is. People want to buy from you when they trust you, they believe in you, they
Right.
support you. And if you haven't
Right.
given them a reason to do that, why would they buy from
100%. And what I love to also talk about is like, why do you buy from somebody? Whether
you?
it's a
Yeah,
pair of jeans or a whole vacation package, what
yeah,
motivates you to buy from somebody? And when you think about it like that, it kind of makes more sense. Not just
100%.
going to buy willy-nilly just because. And I think that's why, quote, influencers have gotten the role as an influencer because you take that time to nurture the audience and to let them inside of your world. It's honestly quite an invasive job if you think about it. You
Yeah,
got cameras all up in your house. Like, and again, going back to me being on the show, like everything is like, can't hide nothing.
yep,
You know what I mean? Speaking of which, so one thing that we both have in common is the fact that we're both very much in the public eye. Um, how do you deal with trolls? So I know in your arena, there's trolls from a different way, and in my arena, there's trolls from a different
yeah,
way, right? So, in my arena, a lot of the feedback I get from people is like, what if they say that I'm wrong about the astrology for the day? Or like, what if they call me fake? Or what if they say my prices are too high? And like all of these things, which prevents people from showing up authentically in the best way that they can. And I know in
yes,
the bodybuilding sphere, there's a whole bunch of stuff, like, are you juicing and you're only doing it for clout and, all that stuff. So, how do you deal with
yeah.
it?
You just also have to be aware that, like, we talked about this before, is that you have chosen this life. You don't have to
Hmm.
choose it. You chose to
Right,
put yourself out on social media, which is
right.
going to come with other people's comments because they are allowed to do that.
And
So
projections.
yes, yeah.
Hmm.
So, of course, when I first started, it really hurt because, of course,
Yeah.
I was unsure about what I was doing. I was scared. I was fearful.
Hmm.
I was judging myself. So when people would make the comments, I was like, "See, they're right. They're just proving
Yeah.
everything that I already know about myself is
Yeah.
right." But
Right.
now, after years of work, when I do see those comments, they don't affect me anymore because I know who I am and that what I'm
Yeah.
doing is true to me and that I'm being as authentic as I possibly can. So when I see them, I know that about myself. So now it doesn't affect me. But
Hmm.
of course, there'll be like those low days that I have where I'm low energy.
Hmm.
I'm like questioning, like, what am I doing with my life? But then the next day, it's
Hmm.
like, I'm fine, I'm back. And if I catch
Right.
on one of those days, of course, like I'm human. Like I'll see them like, oh my,
Right.
they are right. My eyelashes
Hmm.
do look bad today. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no,
They nitpick the smallest fucking thing. I swear to God. It's
yes.
crazy. It's like you guys have nothing but time on your hands.
Yes, and that's
Uh,
also a thing to consider is that, when you're seeing those comments instead of getting emotionally reactive, because also if you do get really emotionally active, that's your cue that maybe what they're saying is triggering you, and maybe that's what you feel about yourself.
right.
It wouldn't be triggering you if you didn't in
100%.
some way feel that about
Believe it.
yourself and believe it. So
Hmm.
thinking about that when you're commenting, and also thinking about like where that person must be at if that's how they wanted to spend their day. going
Mhm.
on somebody's page and commenting this and commenting that, just thinking about it
Mhm.
from their point of view, like where are they at in their life right now that that's what they felt the need to do, and not in a
Yeah.
mean, malicious way, just thinking, I'll get comments about you're not feminine, you look like a man and all of
I was
these things.
gonna ask you about that.
And for me, it's like, well, thank you. So you think I'm muscular?
Literally, I on my story the other day, I posted because my veins were veining, and my friend DM'd me. He goes, "Okay, Thor," and I was like, "That was the best compliment you could
I'm like,
ever give
thank
me."
you. And sometimes that, like, with my personality, I use humor, especially in my
Yeah,
YouTube videos. Like, I love to
yeah.
keep things like silly and goofy and fun. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like that's how I'll respond.
Right,
I'm
right.
not bitter about it, but like for
Mm-mm.
example, I obviously wear a full face of makeup to the gym. This is who I am.
Yeah,
I love to do it. I ain't gonna change for
yeah.
nobody.
Right,
So
right, right.
when someone comments like, "Oh my God, like quit wearing makeup to the gym, like you should stop wearing those lashes, blah, blah, blah."
Oh
Sometimes
my
they'll come and
God.
just be silly. And I say, like, okay, let me go run and change that about myself real quick. And I'll put like the running emoji
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
in my head, it's like the fact that you think your comment is going to make me take off my lashes, take off, then I'm going to change
Right.
who I am because user number 9991 wants me to is
Seriously.
unreal.
Not
And
user number 9991.
yeah, that has no profile picture. You're like, where is this coming from?
Oh
It's
my
also
God.
one thing that I wanted to mention, but I'm already losing my train of thought with like the comments. I can't remember, but maybe it'll come up.
Well, one
Mm.
thing I was going to say too is literally today, I've been getting a lot of the I'll pray for yous because of my line of work. And I literally, I'll be like, and I you, dear one. Because I don't need you to
Peace
pray
be
for me,
with
but
you.
literally, peace be with me. And I hope that, you guys are kind of understanding, those of you who are really working through like visibility blocks around this, is you do develop the skin for it. If
I
this is the
do.
work that you want to do, you got to make fun of it because oftentimes these folks that are taking the time out of their day to comment some weird shit on your work, honey, they got nothing but time and they got a
Yeah.
lot more to worry about than you do. And that's really the true fact of it, because I don't know about you, but I've never gone out of my way to
No,
comment
never.
anything negative on anybody's page
No. Even if
ever.
like I don't like the content and
Right.
I'm like, ooh, that was a little mean. I don't agree with that point of
Right.
view. I
I'm
don't
still not
I'm not
commenting.
like, oh,
Mhm.
they need to hear what I have to say. The world needs to
Yeah.
hear. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'll just
It's
move past it.
wild.
Move
It's
past
so
it.
wild. So speaking of like work and content creation, all that. So Julia, okay, how do you structure it all? So you run an online coaching brand, an online coaching business, you're doing your bodybuilding, right? Obviously you have a partner, okay? And then you create content.
Right.
And I know, and a lot of people listening know how much time the content creation piece alone takes between all the platforms, plus
Yeah.
the editing of content.
Right.
So for the people that are listening who are like, I want to do it, but it all feels so overwhelming, how do you like organize it all?
Start with one.
Good
You don't have to
idea.
do all of the things. I
Mm-hmm.
never came in and did, of course I wanted to because I would see all these social
Right.
media platforms and
Right.
immediately I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to be on all of them.
Right. Right. Same.
That's the worst thing that you can do. Pick
Mm-hmm.
one and get good at one and then start adding on. Just like with your
Mm-hmm.
fitness journey and you want to achieve your goal.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go from waking up at 9 p.m., rolling out of bed, getting Starbies and a taco,
Mm-hmm.
to going and waking up at 5 a.m., chicken and
Right.
broccoli doing cardio. It's not going to work. You're
Right.
going to fail.
Right.
So
Right.
start with one platform. There's so many different platforms for each type of personality and what you enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
You could podcast if you're good with audio. You can do
Mm-hmm.
Instagram if you like to write captions, you love to make real. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to do something that's a little bit more low key and not so um Instagram like real, pretty, perfect. TikTok, it's way more fun. You don't have to think about
Mm-hmm.
it as much. YouTube, if you want a more personal connection with your audience and you want them to see like what you're doing on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
get to know you, know what you like, what you don't like, sharing your life.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is the way to go. So I would start with one get consistent on that, and then start adding on other things. So I started with Instagram. I got consistent with that. I created a schedule. When am I going to post? What times am I going to post? What are these gonna say? And granted, at this time I was still working at a salon. So I was doing
Yeah.
this in my free time after I would come home from work to try and build my business
Yeah.
because I did not like that job. And then on Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
I would spend all day on Sunday because I had off to plan my content for the week because I knew, okay, when Monday goes around, I have to go back to my 9 to 5 job and I'm not going to have time to plan content. So Sunday I would plan that content and I would literally
Mm-hmm.
sneak into the bathroom while I was at my job and I would copy and paste it from my notes and post my Instagram
I
stuff.
would do the same thing at my
Yes.
restaurant. My God.
Yes. And it led me
Baby.
to where I am now, you know? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
starting with one is the biggest advice, and getting consistent, showing your
yeah.
face, showing your
Hmm.
personality,
Showing your face,
sharing
yeah.
your life. Granted, like share what you're comfortable with. You know,
Right.
I share a lot of like I share about my fiance and I breaking up, getting back together, canceling my show, having a binge eating disorder. I share that, but doesn't
Right.
mean
We didn't even get to the binge eating.
yeah, you don't
Yes.
have to do that. But
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to talk about it a little bit.
yes,
Because I think it's important for the people to know. Um, so let's switch gears just a little bit. When we talk about, and I also want to ask you about food in general. So
mm,
before we get to binge eating, I want to know what your opinion is on the food. So here in the Goddess Complex, we love to talk about controversial topics. We've done
okay,
all sorts of things like aliens and everything else. Do
mm,
you think that our food in America is designed to make us fat?
correct.
I would agree. How does one combat that? So, one thing I often get is I don't have the money to eat healthy. And as I'm sure you can agree, there are so many ways that you can eat healthy that's not hella fucking expensive. Like chicken and
Uh-huh.
broccoli versus McDonald's right now, like inflation is a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on food and what we are combating, especially here in America, around
Yeah.
food, diet, and nutrition?
I totally agree that I feel like our food is meant to make us slow, to make
Yeah.
us dumber, to make us
Hmm.
sit like a couch potato and let the world happen
Yeah.
to us. It's
Yes.
meant for that. And of course, like I'm not gonna say like go buy his all organic, go to the farmer's
Right.
market and things like
Hmm.
because that can get expensive. I
I
understand
can.
that. And
Right.
even some of the stuff that's organic is not organic. So
Right.
so what
Azula
I
not
would
right.
say to the people that are trying to eat healthier and they're saying that it's too expensive, it's not. Because I
Hmm.
think when they're seeing healthy is expensive, they're seeing, maybe the influencers that have a
Right.
lot of money where they can go to farmers markets, they can
And
get like
everything's
the
polished.
pure raw thing. Maybe
Right.
that's what they're seeing. But when I was working at my salon and I was getting paid hourly, and if I got lucky, I got tips,
Right.
I had barely any money,
Right.
barely any
Right.
money. And I wanted to change my physique. So I would
Hmm.
buy chicken in bulk, Costco's great.
Hmm.
If you guys have
Yeah.
Costco, I would buy
Hmm.
chicken in bulk. I would buy the giant bag of like broccoli, frozen broccoli,
Yeah.
very cheap. I would also get like the canned tuna things to get extra
Yep.
protein,
Tuna.
very cheap. If you buy a big tub of
Hmm.
protein powder, that
Yeah.
lasts you such a long time. Like those things alone, it's not a lot of money to get those things.
Right.
And it
No.
doesn't have to be like the organic farm raised, like all of those
Right.
things. If you're able to, great. If not, I mean, I still don't buy that, all of
Hmm.
those things because even sometimes it's not really what they say it's going to be. There's so much
Yeah.
around labels and so much like gray area around what they can put what they do and don't put on labels.
Very much
So
so.
just think about like how much you're spending on eating out. I want you to just calculate it. Like how say you're getting Starbucks every day. That's roughly $5-6 a day. You're getting
Hmm.
a takeout every single day, maybe even adding DoorDash. That's
Hmm.
adding another expense to tip the DoorDash person. That
Hmm.
is how much it is every day. So say you're spending roughly $50 a day on eating out once, getting a meal, and then like your coffee in the morning, adding
Right.
that up throughout the week when you could have spent $100 or probably around that much to have you meal prep for the whole week with these lower priced options. A bag of rice, like white rice, like a giant bag of rice, it's like
It's like fucking $3. We eat it all
three,
the
four
time here at my
dollars.
house.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's 350 a week, $50 a day, 7 days
Yes.
a week. That's 350 a week. It's funny that you say that. When I was getting really deep on my money work a couple of years back, my money work and my body work, I was in the cave of just really in that place of understanding myself. So I tracked how much was I spending in DoorDash and Uber Eats. Girlfriend, over the course of a month, I had spent $900.
Yep.
I was like, holy, and I wasn't somebody who was like ordering everything in their mom. It just
Yeah.
900 fucking dollars. And I was like, oh no. That was more than my rent at the time.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And
And so I
anybody
think,
listening, if they
yeah,
just did that simple thing right
that's it. Just
now,
track it. Just
and
track
just
it.
tracking like how much you're using on your Starbucks app, going to your bank account, going to
Mm-hmm.
DoorDash, and see that, and versus like the plain like meal plan I just gave you about like
Mm-hmm.
very inexpensive stuff, it'll be very eye awakening because ultimately people want what they want is convenience. We
That's
all like
it.
live in an Amazon era where we want our body
Right.
to
I
show
like
up.
that Amazon
Yeah.
era.
Where
Yeah.
like we
Yes.
literally want our physique goals to show up on our front door the next day and we get impatient when it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. We want our food immediately. That's why DoorDash and fast
Mm-hmm.
food is so prevalent because we're just too impatient to do anything because we can get whatever we want whenever we want now.
Right.
Fitness doesn't apply.
Right. And, I think that's why people have this misconception that eating healthy gets expensive. Because
Yeah.
one thing that I was notorious for doing was getting all this healthy food and eating like a quarter of it and it going bad in the fridge, and I would still be eating out. And of course, that gets expensive because it's like you're double dipping, right? And we're not saying that you can never eat out, but like if you are
Yeah.
really focusing on your body, maybe you choose differently. Maybe you eat out less, like what are you doing to offset that, you know?
Yeah, like baby steps, like we always said, like you if you're
Hmm.
eating out every single day, you're ordering something, grabbing something,
Hmm.
start narrowing it down to like, okay, I'm just gonna do 3 days a week, or I'm only gonna go out to
Right,
eat on a Saturday and we're gonna have a fun date night,
right,
so then it's special and all of that stuff.
exactly.
Baby steps, not 0 to 100.
100%. And so one of the things that really attracted me to your work was the binge eating stuff.
Mhm,
And so my struggle with food has been fucking ongoing. I feel like myself and everybody else because, it's America and I feel like they did this on purpose, but that's a whole nother podcast.
mhm,
But one thing that I noticed that I did, which is very much a form of self-sabotage, would be the not eat all day and binge at night.
yeah,
And contrary to what a lot of people believe, is like I eat more now than I've ever ate before, and I'm still consistently losing weight, and I'm
yeah,
always eating.
yeah.
Um, can you talk to me a little bit about binge eating for you and how you work through it and how you make sure that the ED doesn't affect the bodybuilding? Because I know in the bodybuilding world, EDs are prevalent.
They're common, but nobody talks about it.
Right, right.
I mean, okay, so for me, I'd like at from 15 to 18, I was a wrestler. So it's
Okay.
very similar to bodybuilding in the way that you have to cut down to a specific weight class. So for
Mhm.
bodybuilding, though, I have to cut down to a specific look. So I have been
Right.
competitively dieting since I was 15. So
Wow.
when I was competing in my first show and I was 3 weeks out and it got canceled by COVID, that's when I realized that I had a binge eating disorder because I was finally years later put into another position where I was starving and I chose to.
Mhm.
And then that's when I noticed that I had a binge eating disorder. Because when you're in wrestling, and they don't really teach us this as kids, but we were doing the most drastic, unhealthy things in order to lose weight because nobody taught us how to lose
Mhm.
weight properly. So I was
Right, right.
spitting into water bottles because if you fill
Yeah.
up a water bottle, you lose a pound of water weight. I was running in the
Oh.
summers in Texas in sauna suits. I was not eating at
Mhm.
lunch. Everyone was eating around me, and I just wouldn't eat because I saw that that's how other people were doing it. So that's what I thought I had to do. And then
Mhm.
I would weigh in. Then I would go to my mom, who was in the stands waiting for me, binge eat all the calories that I would. So I've been
Mhm.
in this pattern since I was 15. I'm not in it
Right,
anymore from through a
right.
lot of work, but bodybuilding allowed me to see. that that was a shadow I had been hiding away.
Mm.
So when I realized it was a problem, I got help immediately, and I started on my journey through healing. And there was a point where I thought that I wasn't going to be able to be a bodybuilder because this is something that I struggled with. I was like,
Yeah.
binge eating,
Yeah.
competitively body, these two don't go together.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
thought of letting this thing decide for me that I wasn't going to do it was scarier to me. And
Hmm.
that's not everybody's journey. When I say this, for me, I used bodybuilding to help me heal this, but that's not everybody's journey. Some people
Right.
can't do that. So I want to make that very clear that this is just
Right.
what I did. It's not going to work for everyone, not a therapist, not a doctor, none of those things.
Right.
But
Right.
for me, I was like, I am not going to let this thing deter me from the thing I want to do and how I'm going to share my message to the world.
Hmm.
I'm not going to do it. So, of course, it made it that much harder. I made it harder on myself, but that's what I like to do. So,
Yeah.
but now I can say that, I no longer struggle with that as something of the past. And I do empathize with anybody that does, because
Hmm.
we talk about not eating enough, but we don't talk about eating in excess enough. And
No, not even a
adding
little
just
bit.
as damaging.
100%. Because I've been teaching spin on and off for 8+ years. And one of the things that got me really dialed in with my weight was me being like, this body doesn't make sense. I went to a school for biology. Like we hiked, we went to lab class barefoot. Like the body that I was in did not make sense. And I was struggling to understand why. And only when I recognized, well, Ashley, it's because you get done waiting your tables and you go out and drink with everybody at night. And then you go home and then you eat a chicken parmesan at 1 a.m. And then, that's like fucking 2,000 calories right there. And you haven't eaten all day long. And how much water have you had? Like my diet was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And once I was like, oh, uh, can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. But once I was like, oh, like that is what's going on right now, it's all over the place and I'm not dialed in and I'm technically I'm binging. So
Yeah.
I just think it's really, really important. And you work with people on binge eating, correct?
So I'm not a doctor, so I don't work
Me
like
neither.
that
You guys
that
know that.
way with people on that. But I, for a while, had a binge eating support group, and it was just women that also
That's what
struggle
it
with
was.
it.
Okay.
We would get on calls together, we would just talk about it, stuff like that. And I found that that actually really helped, because one thing that happens when you have like an addiction of, anything really, is that you hide it because you're ashamed. So
100%.
it's hard for the women in the group to want to share it with their people in their space. So if they could share it with somebody who's also struggled with it
Hmm.
online, then maybe they can build up the courage to tell their partner and find support in other ways through
Hmm.
therapy, friends, family, and stuff like that. So yeah, I did feel a lot of shame and guilt around that, because ultimately I knew what I was doing wasn't true to who I am, and this is not how it was supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to eat like this and then do excessive amounts of cardio in order to try and fix what I did wrong, and then be in that
Girl,
shame loop
you can't
over and
do that,
over and over.
guys. Like you can't do a bunch of cardio because you fucked up the night before. Like, Julia, you are speaking the truth because I have tried to do that too. Like, be like, okay, I'm gonna eat this. How many calories is this? So I just have to burn this tomorrow. It doesn't
Yes.
work that way. It doesn't
It's
work that way.
also just it's so, and that is a form of, bulimia as well, is like
Mhm.
in the way of you're trying to fix it, whether it's physically trying to not have the food in your system anymore, or
Yes.
if it's through taking supplementation to try and get it out,
Right.
or if it's through excessive amounts of cardio. Those are different ways that you try to quote unquote fix what you've done. But for me, it continues to reinforce that you're bad, and what you
Right.
did was wrong, and what you did was
Right.
bad. So now you should punish yourself for doing that thing.
100%. Oh my God. Such good information today. So the last thing I kind of want to bring up is your retreat.
Yes.
Um, we love retreats over here in the spiritual world. We love going to an island and talking to Jah, like they're fine.
Yes.
And so I know that you just hosted your first retreat, which looked absolutely magical, by the way. Um, it looked very, very spiritual. It looked like it was a very spiritual thing, energy that was in the room when you were doing your retreat. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. Like, was the retreat for you a spiritual experience? And if so, in what way?
Oh, definitely. It was the greatest day of my entire life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Oh my
was,
God.
yeah, I told Zach, I was like, I could honestly die. I was being dead serious. Like, I could die today and be happy
Yeah.
with what I've done here,
Oh, that's
on this
amazing.
planet. But obviously, we have another one coming up April 19th through 21st in Austin, Texas. And it honestly has nothing to do with fitness. Nothing.
What does it have to do with?
So there's a fitness aspect to it because, of course, my
Yeah.
audience is very much into health and fitness, but they also
Right, right,
know me
right.
and they know the things that I actually talk about. Um,
Yeah.
so the first day, we're doing like a little girl sleepover where all the girls come
Mhm.
together. We have a little sisterhood because that's a really big part of just womanhood in general, is that for so long, like,
Mhm.
we're pinned against each other. We're taught to be envious. We're taught to that there's limited resources, whether it's
Talk shit,
men,
be
whether it's
jealous.
all of those
Yeah.
things. That's how we're portrayed to be, and it's somehow breaking. So I wanted to create a safe space for women to come together where they can have that community and they can walk into a room of women and feel safe. So we do a little kind of like sleepover the night before. Then Saturday is all the deep work. Like, we go through a complete workshop with me, my partner Zach, and one of my best friends live that also does a lot of the work that you do, that Zach
Oh, that's
does,
amazing.
that I do. So we can't go into detail about exactly what those processes that we take the girls through. But one of the things that we realize that whenever you go to like a retreat or like a motivational something and you're like, yeah,
Hmm.
afterwards, but you go home and you don't know how to implement it and then you're like depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not what happens at this retreat. We give you a chance to practice it in real time and accept it in real time through the workshop.
Hmm.
So that's all day Saturday, very deep work. That's why you saw those girls, like, they go through all of the emotions, all of them.
Right.
We
Right.
go through shame, we go through guilt, fear, all the way
Hmm.
to joy, love, all of those things. We take them
Hmm.
through all of it in a day. Eventually, we want to do them a little bit longer. And then Sunday, by that time, they're besties, they're girl gang. They found
Right.
their sisterhood, and we all go and work out together. We do a leg day. So there is that like fitness aspect of it, but majority of it is all that other inner work.
Ah, I love
Yeah.
it. You all go check out Julia in the show notes if you're interested, or if you're in the Texas area. Sounds just absolutely delicious. You got
Hmm.
me thinking about it, girl.
Yep.
Um, okay, Julia, where can the people find you? Should they want to work with you, follow you, support you, say hi to you? What's all that about?
You can find me basically on all social media platforms underscore Julia Rene with one E.
Okay, amazing. And you all should definitely go check out her YouTube channel. It's so fun, and like I love watching it while I'm on the stair stepper. I hate that thing, but I do it. And thank you so much, Julia, for being here. I absolutely appreciate it. This has
It's
been
my
so
pleasure. Thank
good.
you for having me. I appreciate you sharing your audience with me, and getting to know you has been incredible. And I'm so glad to make another friend in a different industry, but like the same at the same time.
Exactly, right? I know.
Same,
It's
same,
like,
but different.
yeah, it's great. It's great. Awesome. You all already know, friends. Make sure you share the episode, share it with a friend, share it with your auntie, share it with a cousin. DM me, let me know what you think about it. We are going to be keeping these coming. The first half of 2024 has just been electric. I've got so much more in store for the next half, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao for now. Hello, friends. I hope you loved today's episode. Make sure you share it with a friend, share it with somebody that you love, and tag me on the gram at Ashley Michelle 90 Day and let me know your thoughts. Leaving that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify is literally what helps this work get to the right people. As you may or may not know, we are in the middle of a spiritual revolution, and us being able to get our hands on resources like this podcast and others is what is literally going to make the world go round. So do me this favor and please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share the episode with somebody you love. It really, truly does mean the world to me. I love you so very much, and I will see you in the next one.